We begin the news at this hour in southwest Nigeria, where the Lagos State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal has held that the petition of the People's Democratic Party and its governorship candidate, Olajide Adediran, lacks merit, and the same is accordingly dismissed. This came in a unanimous judgment read by Justice Mikali Abdullahi on behalf of the three-man panel on Monday. In reaching the verdict, the court first dwelt on the preliminary objections raised by the parties before considering the issues raised for determination. The tribunal entertained the question of whether it had the competence and jurisdiction to hear the petition. Justice Abdullahi answered this question in the affirmative and held that this issue had already been resolved at the preliminary objection stage. Now, joining me on the news to discuss more on this is Sheriff Adekoya. He's a public affairs analyst and he joins from Lagos State. Well, thank you so much for your time, Sheriff. All right, Sheriff, let's get to it. Now that the tribunal is ruled and we are still expecting more, what are the political implications of the Lagos State Governorship Elections Tribunal dismissal of PDP's petition?
Well, for me, I will not mince words. I feel it is business as usual. How and why do I say that? We know what it should look like. We're all in Lagos. We saw the elections. We saw what PDP had put together, and we saw how the Labour Party and its candidates were joined in quite a number of cases on the petition. But yes, business as usual because Lagos has outgrown political tensions of such class. So we will not feel much of the aura now that the judgment has been passed. We just should see that there is no pressure on the streets, there is no vibe. It is even quite funnily noticeable, much more as if it's the society, the state goes by its business without any disruption or any feel of the verdict. The verdict holds no much water on Lagos because right from the onset, it appears as if the petition was more or less like a distraction to the government of the state. And now that the petition has been struck out, we are sure the state can concentrate on delivering the dividends of democracy to the citizens.
I just want to pick you on your word. You said distraction. Now, how will this tribunal decision impact the political landscape and dynamics in Lagos State, particularly in the context of the All Progressive Congress and the People's Democratic Party?
Well, there's no distraction in the camp of APC because from the word go, the petition is baseless. The election, to a very large extent, as seen by local and international observers, went the way of the people. So for the PDP, this probably may be the final nail on the coffin. Simple as that. This may be.
All right.
Unless the party goes to re-strategize.
Okay. Talking about that, in what ways does this ruling reflect the interpretation of constitutional requirements for gubernatorial candidates in Nigeria?
Well, I am sure we are both far from being qualified as legal authorities. So whatever the petition, the tribunal panel has given is a representation of what the constitution depicts. And this has got, of course, you see, every time we go to court, every time we sit at the tribunal and things happen, what we turn out with beyond the verdict is the fact that the files of authority keeps increasing, and that gives room for more learning. So what we see, it's nothing far from the interpretation of what the constitution depicts. And you and I do not have I don't have anything against it unless you do. Of course, there are other legal ways to seek further redress if there's any window for that. For me, this is more or less like end of the road. And the constitution has not been misinterpreted in any way. And I do not think there's any additional leave of interpretation that should be added to what we already know.
Now, what significance does the tribunal's decision hold for the future of election-related petitions and challenges in Nigeria, particularly regarding the grounds for disqualification and jurisdiction over pre-election matters?
Well, maybe what we then need to do is go back to drawing board and find a way to increase the space between the election period and the swearing-in period, so that that can accommodate for every of the concerns that may come, every of the concern that may come from the election. Beyond and other than that, we have not seen any violation of what the petition, the tribunal stands for. And what we see is that if you have issues, if you have grudges, there are legal windows through which you can seek redress rather than resulting in anything outside the circle and the confine of the law. That's it. So the law will listen to you. The tribunal is set up by law. The tribunal is set up by law, and it will be there to listen and hear your prayers. That's exactly what this has done. So this is just telling you that beyond the elections, beyond the law guiding the election, it does not end at the polls. If you think you've got prayers, say it and bring it forward to the court. This is what the tribunal has done. And this is to tell you that the judiciary in Nigeria, beyond all of these politics and communication of calumny that we have seen in several quarters, still very much stand on his right path. And the interpretation is not in any way far from that. So what we have seen is that the judiciary understands the meat and they know their onions. And that's it.
All right, thank you so much for your time. Sheriff Adekoya, Public Affairs Analyst.
Thank you for having me.